Good afternoon. My name is Diana Shenefield. I'm doing this sample video. I'm going to be discussing the general tips for preparing for the NCLEX exam. We know that as students there are lots of myths out there about what the NCLEX exam entails, how hard it is, how much you have to study. So today we're just going to talk a little bit about some tips and maybe dispel some of the myths that nursing students might have. We're going to start with no matter what you've heard, what the facts are. There are some pointers for passing the NCLEX exam. One of the recommendations is that you take the NCLEX exam as soon as you graduate from nursing school. It's so important while the information is still fresh in your mind. Many students will take that time to, maybe decide to get married. And while you are all excited about getting married, it's really important that you buckle down and you really study for the NCLEX exam. This is a time when it's fresh in your mind. Do your honeymoon, do your vacations after you've taken the test so that you can celebrate passing. One of the other things is to schedule the test for the best time of day for you. Not everybody's a morning person. Not everybody is an afternoon person. You will have some leeway when scheduling your NCLEX exam to schedule at a time that works best for you. So take that into consideration. If you are a morning person, try to get the test scheduled in the morning when you're freshest. If you're the kind of person that stays up late, schedule it for the afternoon so that you make sure that you have a good amount of sleep. Also, know what time that you have allotted for the test. If you're going to do it in the morning, make sure that you don't have any things scheduled in the afternoon so that you're not feeling pressured to hurry up and get through the test. You have prepared for this for 4 years of college, and you want to make sure that you're giving it the best amount of time. You don't want to be thinking about trying to catch planes or getting to work. You want to make sure that time is allotted and that you have nothing else on your mind. Also, it goes without saying to make sure that you eat well before the test. Growling stomachs will help deter is what I'm trying to say. It's hard to study and it's hard to focus when your stomach is growling. So make sure that you eat a good meal, whether it be breakfast or lunch. Make sure that you drink enough so that you're not thirsty. We want your mind in the best possible state that it can be in. There are some pointers also for passing. There's no tricks, but there are some pointers that you can apply, hopefully, to help the class go better. Take as many computerized tests as you can, whether it be ATI, whether it be Kaplan, whether it be HESI. There's lots of different ATI or computer-based tests out there. The more you practice on the computer, the less likely you're going to be to freeze in front of the camera. Or in front of the computer. It is a little bit different than paper and pencil. You can't go back and recheck your answers and change, and sometimes that causes some stress for students. You want to make sure that you're able to go to the next question, know that you've done the best that you can. If you start worrying about how you answered a question earlier, it's going to deter how you can take the rest of the test. So take a lot of practice tests. Know how you work with the computer. Just because you can Facebook or just because you can write a paper on the computer doesn't mean that you can take a good test on the computer. So work with that. Also, if you feel the questions are getting harder, that's a good thing. The test is set up to challenge you. So go with the flow. You know what you're capable of doing. If they get harder, just in the back of your mind think, okay, I must be really doing well. So on the other side of that, if they seem to be getting easier, don't freak out either and think, oh, I must not be doing very well. Take every question as it comes, answer it to the best of your ability. One of the biggest things I like to tell my students is you cannot cram for NCLEX. It takes lots of studying. That studying should have started back in nursing school, and it goes all the way through. The information that's on NCLEX is information that you have been building. You can't go the night before and look at an NCLEX review book, read the whole thing, and think that you're ready for NCLEX. It takes lots and lots of practicing. It takes lots of studying. So do yourself a favor. Don't cram. Start early with answering questions every day. Focus on the areas that maybe you're not as strong in, and then move on to the next areas. But just give yourself the amount of time and give this test the respect that it's due by giving a lot of attention to your studying. The whole purpose of the NCLEX is to make sure that we have competent nurses, to make sure that you're safe, to make sure that you have your patient's best interests at heart. So when you're studying for the test, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you're trying to answer questions. Is my patient safe? Am I being a patient advocate? That's the most important thing. That's what the test is looking for. It's looking for competence. It's not looking for an expert. Nobody expects you to be an expert nurse coming right out of nursing school. But we do want competent, safe nurses. That's what the NCLEX is going to be measuring. Critical thinking. I am sure you've heard lots about critical thinking all through your nursing career. The NCLEX exam wants to see that critical thinking in action. So don't just whiz through the test. Take your time. Think through every answer. Make sure that you know what the question is asking. Just like not rushing through on a test, they want to see when you have a patient in front of you, are you going to think about what is going on with the patient? Are you going to be able to put things together? Or are you going to jump to the first conclusion that comes to your mind? Again, that may seem kind of silly to put that with actual patient care. But the NCLEX exam, the best way of knowing whether you can think things through and whether you can use your critical thinking is by test questions. So take your time, know that you're confident that you know what the question is asking, and then read each question. Show them that you can critically think, that you have learned how to do that. What won't work? Assuming you don't know the answer. If you go into it assuming that you're not going to pass, you're probably not going to pass. Go in with confidence. Go in knowing that you have studied hard through nursing school. You've graduated from nursing school. Confidence goes a long way. If you go in thinking that you're not going to pass, but if you go in thinking, I've got this, then you can do it. So be positive. You wouldn't have passed nursing school if you didn't have something up here. So think positive and know that you know the stuff. Know the structure. You can go through your NCLEX review book, and it's broke down into different sections, whether it be pharmacology, whether it be safety, environmental, management of care. So make sure that you're familiar with the kind of questions that are going to be asked. Also, schedule your study time. No one can sit for hours at a time and study. So give yourself a break, whether it's 2 hours in the morning or 2 hours in the afternoon, but get yourself some fun time as well so that you're not burnt out and you're not bummed out about having to study for the test. You want this to be fun. This is your career. This is what you've trained for. Also, read each question. A lot of times what I have found, students will start reading a question and automatically assume that they know what's being asked and find out at the end that it was something totally different. Make sure you know exactly what the question is asking. Make sure you read every answer. There's going to be probably two answers that are almost both right, but one of them is going to be more right. One of them is going to fit the question. So take your time. I cannot stress that enough. Also, watch those absolutes. We know in life, hardly ever is anything always or never. So watch those again. Think about your patients that you've taken care of. Think about things that you've learned, case studies that you've done in class. Has anything really ever always been or never been? So again, watch out for those kind of things. There are certain things that you do have to know. I know we talk a lot about in nursing school about it's not about memorization, and that's true. But you do need to know your lab values. You must have those memorized. You must know growth and development. When it comes to the pediatric portion of the test, you must understand that. There are some medications that you must know, common medications. Again, these shouldn't be new to you as you're going through your NCLEX review book. These should all be things that you have been working on all through nursing school. So again, take the time, review those things. If you're confident that you know those lab values, then put that aside and go on to something else that you haven't or you're not as confident in. Again, look at process of elimination. Many of you by this time have taken lots of multiple choice tests. Again, make sure that you eliminate the obvious. That way you're only focusing on two answers to the question. Then reread the question and make sure that you understand what it's asking. I tell all my students that when you take the NCLEX, they give you a whiteboard. You can write all over that whiteboard. If you need to make yourself a note or pick out words and put it on that whiteboard to remind you, to help you focus in, then do that. Again, I cannot stress enough that this is an important test. This is what you've worked for. This is your livelihood. This isn't something to just say, well, I think I'll just go take it today. Take it seriously. Pass the first time. You'll be a lot happier, and you'll be able to start working as an RN. Again, there are lots more tricks to taking the NCLEX exam. There's lots of ideas. There's lots of books out there. But basically, what you've got to do is you've got to study and you got to prepare. So good luck, and I'll see you as an RN.